flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call from Mr. Domkowski.
Here.
Mr. Baya.
Here.
Mr. Pearson.
Here.
Mr. Stevens.
Here.
And Mr. McDermott.
Here.
Mr. Cortez is absent and Mr. Rossi is absent.
Mr. Rossi is on phone. He's on phone, so you can call his.
Oh, I thought I had your things. Okay. Okay, Mr. Rossi. Hi.
Okay, Dan called this meeting to have Five Corners Development make a presentation of their pilot. And also on the phone is Angela.
Yeah, Angela from Home Leasing. Angela, if you want to just give a quick introduction. I think you've met most of the people here, but
Yes.
you can hear us, Angela? Is your mute? Hey, Angela, can you hear us? Hey, Angela, can you hear us?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I'll try one more time if not.
Hello.
Hey, can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay, great. We lost you there for a second. So with us is Angela Eichholz from Home Leasing. Angela, I think you've met most of the people in here, but if you want to give a quick background for yourself again?
Sure. So my name's Angela Eichholz with Home Leasing. I've been with the company 2.5 years now, but been working in affordable housing world for a little over 10. And I'm the project manager for this project.
Great. So thank you all for coming out in this special meeting. I think our goal, well, obviously the goal here is to talk about the pilot. As Joe mentioned, we are trying to do everything we can to put all of the, put our foot forward to make sure that our HCR application that is already gone in will get approved. Right now, the timeline is supposed to be February. So the more that we can do in the background to help showcase that we're continuing to move the ball along, the better off we are as and when we get to hear back from the governor. So just a quick overview, and I think everybody's familiar with this. So again, we're proposing 66 units of senior affordable housing. With that, there's going to be close to 7,500 square feet of space for ICANN, and we'll talk a little bit about all the services that they're going to offer. And in terms of order of magnitude for just the project hard costs, right now we're around a $22 million project hard cost. And obviously that is the design that you guys saw in previous meetings. So we've gone through a handful of processes thus far. So obviously we went through planning, zoning, and then back to the planning board for final approvals. In September, we submitted our application. Angela can speak to this, but her team focuses heavily on 9% applications. And Angela, fair to assume that you're good to say that it was a strong application from all the applications you've done in your past?
Absolutely.
Great. So process-wise, the anticipated award would be in February of this coming year. So there's no guarantees. There's a pipeline for each region. In the Mohawk Valley region, there's 7 applications that went in. They're going to approve 2 or 3 of those applications, and we're hopeful that this is one of them. I think we have a lot of reasons to believe that we have a good chance. Also, versus some of the other projects that are out there. And should we get awarded in February, our hope would be breaking ground in August. and then aiming to deliver in 18 to 24 months thereafter. So target would be March of 2028. Any quick questions before I keep going? So as I mentioned, ICANN. So initially, Joe had actually introduced us to ICANN, and since then, we've been extremely impressed with their operations. So if you get a chance to go out towards the Utica Way, they just opened up a brand new children's museum. They run a couple of recreational facilities and are launching a new one right now outside of Syracuse, which is going to be another 40,000 square foot facility for all recreational activities under the sun there. Within Amsterdam specifically, they're looking to host the following programs. So beyond providing services for the seniors that live in our building, they're also going to work on healthy home services for pregnant families, child and family treatment, behavioral services, adult care management, supporting adults with medical conditions, and health and recovery programs. Phil was kind enough to introduce us to the local Office of the Aging, and we're already in discussions with them to figure out how we can work collaboratively and figure out where there are potential synergies, because they obviously have deployed a lot of these services to date. So there's a lot of synergistic ways in which ICANN can step in and help them, and vice versa, they may be able to help us. So in terms of a pilot structure, what we're proposing is on the left-hand side is a 30-year pilot. It works out from the map that we'll show you to be around $250 per unit as on year one, a 2% annual escalation, and then an agency fee of 1% of the hard cost, which works out to around $221,000. So if you were to look at it on the right side, if you were to think about it in terms of what is the land producing today, and this is before you acquired it, because obviously as you guys own it now, there's $0, zero tax revenue. As vacant land as it was a year ago, it would have, over the course of 30 years, it would have produced $96,000 in revenue for the city, whereas with the pilot that we're proposing, it's close to $670,000 over that 30-year time frame. Notably, the sales and mortgage tax exemptions are things that we can get done as of right for affordable housing. So it's not something that we're coming to you guys for. So past projects that are non-affordable, those likely would have been things that would have been put onto you guys. And then the additional component here is obviously in addition to the agency fee, is paying you the balance of the $250,000. We had paid the $50,000 up front, paying you the balance of the $250,000 to make you guys whole on your initial investment of $300,000. And as a point of comparison, so if you look at, we got the pilot that Vettersburg had put in, the DePaul project. So very similar in nature. So theirs was also a 30-year program. Their pilot payment per unit was slightly under what we're proposing. They had a 2% escalation. And then in their application, they had written a requested discount on the agency fee, but I don't know what that is.
Just so that everybody knows, Vettersburg is the East Main Street apartment complex. That's
What year exactly, Samit, was the pilot?
For Vettersburg?
Yeah.
I want to say it was like 5 years ago,
19.
5 or 6 years ago.
So inflation has grown substantially. I know it's slightly different neighborhood, but,
Mhm.
242 compared to 250 is actually, probably not keeping up with inflation.
Sure. And not that I'm arguing against that, but on the flip side, the difference here is that we're going to be bringing substantial jobs with it. So we'd like to hope of, it may not be CPI adjusted, but if you look at net on the economic development for the two projects, this should be materially higher.
And just to confirm too, from the application, I read 15 construction jobs and 40 permanent positions.
We'll get into that in a second. Yep. So Angela, I'll pass this on to you if you want to go through 581A and give everyone, for those who are not familiar with it, a little bit of an understanding as to how it works.
Sure. So can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, go right ahead.
581A is a portion of the New York State real property tax law that allows projects that have a primary purpose of serving affordable housing, so rent-controlled housing, a avenue to be appraised by right. So any project that is funded with low-income housing tax credits that enters into a regulatory agreement with New York State Homes and Community Renewal is allowed to be assessed under 581A. The way it works is you take the net operating income, it's adjusted for vacancy. There's another adjustment for state mandated reserve contributions, and that is then applied to an income approach divided by cap rate to get you the assessed value. And under 581A, projects have to be assessed annually. So there's a annual adjustment period. We get annual audits from a third party auditor. Those are then shared with the tax assessor and adjusted. So that would be an option for us, and it's certainly something we do on some projects, but as Sumeet had mentioned, we're hoping to get a pilot here. I think it shows community support, and we also believe that it is a win-win for everyone because it's a little bit more predictable revenue. It's easier on the accountants. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Yeah, the most important thing to just highlight is it's an as-of-right program specifically for affordable housing. So let's say the IDA didn't exist. The city said we don't have any mechanism by which to get you a pilot. We can go directly to the state and say, here's our 581A application, and that is what is something that's afforded to us under affordable housing. Any questions on this? And we'll explain why we're benchmarking off of this in a second. Nope. So this is a little small on the screen, but it's in the application as well, I believe on the last page of the application. Angela, if you want to carry on, feel free.
No, you can continue.
Okay. So if you look at I'm going to go down the columns on the chart on the right-hand side. So we looked at the taxes over the course of 30 years, and just to make it easy on the screen, we showed the first 5 years and the last 5 years. And we put in our forecasted NOI. So obviously the same pro forma that we submitted to HCR, we took the exact same net operating income from the project and we laid that out. So under the 581A program, as Angela described, it's income, or it's driven by what your net operating income is. It looks at the equalization rate. We spoke to the assessor about the program. Your assessor here, you look at the equalization rate, your tax rate, and then based on the local capitalization rate, which we got from the assessor, it backs into the next column, which is what the 581A taxes would be if we went that avenue. The column to the right of that is what our proposed pilot is. So that's based off of the $250 per unit, 66 units, and escalating every year by 2%. So what you see in the last column is that every year there's an annual delta. So obviously for the first 5 years, there's a pretty a material, in the grand scheme of things, a material or a relative material delta. But as it goes in later years, we end up paying less paying more under the proposed pilot as opposed to the 581A. And in total, over the course of 30 years, the delta ends up being a little under $200,000, the $196,000 that's at the bottom of the screen. So ultimately what we're requesting is an exemption for that amount, because we have the opportunity to go down the 581A route, or we have the opportunity to come to you guys and get a pilot and pay an agency fee. And the net delta between the two is a little under $200,000. Any questions? So going to your question, Dan, about jobs. I think this number is even light, but from a full-time equivalent on the construction side, we're talking about 15 jobs on average around $70,000 salaries. On the right-hand side, property management, there'll be 3 full-time super and other people supporting the property with salary ranges between 60 and 65,000. And then most notably is the introduction of ICANN, where they're targeting around 28 jobs. And this includes nursing jobs as well as 1 or 2 doctors. So you have salaries that are going all the way up to $120,000, 50 to 120,000. And in total, you're talking about 40 to 50 full-time positions and introducing over $3 million of new salaries, new jobs, where a vast majority of these individuals are going to be sourced locally from Amsterdam. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, yeah. This is the slide that I guess pertains most to AIDA mission, so.
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah.
metrics that we're most interested in.
Yeah, and I'll,
And
go ahead.
I could jump in real fast. I think those construction jobs are probably a little light. Our GC tends to like to take a very conservative approach because they don't want to ever give anyone the wrong impression. But when I spoke with them offline, they basically told us that you can count on 15 permanent jobs, but at the peak of construction, you're probably looking at closer to 30. So it'll start out light, it'll ramp up, and then obviously at the end it kind of trails off again. So that's how we got to 15.
Yeah, and to speak of, and I'm pretty sure the last slide even talks about it, but to speak of your mission, right? At the end of the day, this is accretive for the city of Amsterdam and what you guys are here to do. You're delivering on new senior housing where there's a massive void right now. You're getting rid of underutilized property that's sitting there vacant and somewhat derelict. You're adding 40 to 50 full-time jobs from the community. We're hopeful that this RTP grant comes through, which we'll find out in the next month or two. So you're creating another amenity for not just the residents of the building, but also residents of the community, and creating another set opportunity to connect into the Chuctanunda Creek Trail. And then most importantly, you're catalyzing the local economy to generate long-term revenue for the city. And I'll add to that in saying that there's almost every time we go and do a project, there's another one or two developers knocking on the door saying what's going on in this neighborhood, trying to introduce new investment opportunities, because nobody likes to be the pioneer. Everybody wants to be second to the table, and we're happy leading the charge. So with that, like you said, and you put the words in my mouth, but like our goal is to really, our goal with this project is hopefully going to be solving for a lot of what your mission statement is in terms of being able to create jobs and create housing, where it's not just when we first met you guys on this project, I don't even know, a year and a half ago, we were just talking about how do we bring housing to the area. But now with the introduction of ICANN, being able to bring another 28 full-time high-paying jobs where they're hiring locally is all thanks to you guys and everything that you've been able to put on the table to date. So once again, thank you guys for everything you've done.
Okay.
That's it. Happy to answer questions.
Well, Chuck and I, Pat, do you have any questions?
No.
All right, Chuck and I were talking about the plan of action for the board. I don't know, Sweet, if you want to be part of this, or you can leave, or whatever, if you're finished, but Chuck and I were talking about the board now has to decide about accepting this pilot. And a pilot application is a very intense document. So.
Sorry, I'm happy to leave if you want.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna recommend that Chuck review the pilot from his legal eyes and go through it. If he wants me to be there with him to run over some ideas, whatever. And then we'll bring it to the Planning and Economic Development Committee, which is Jim, Dan, and Phil. And then we'll discuss it with you, maybe pick it apart, or just, have Chuck give his dissertation of what he feels. It's very similar to the one that we did on Main Street. And I think that's going to make it a lot better for us to accept this type of pilot. We also need a public hearing in November. And I would also suggest that we have the public hearing the night before our next November meeting. Not the night before, I'm sorry, the night of our next meeting. So if we had the public hearing at 4, we can have our regular session at 5 and adopt the pilot. Hoping that our Planning and Economic Development Department has met between now and our next meeting, and Chuck has had a week or two to look this over. So there is a little bit of a a train of how we're gonna attack this whole idea. You know, we all have invested a lot of time in this project. I know Sumit and Antonio and Angela have done the same, home leasing. We have the alderman, Chris Carpenter, is behind us. He likes this project, so, you know, this may, you know, after Chuck reviews this pilot, this may be a very nice, smooth exit by us to hand over the pilot and let the developers stay with their plan, their timeline. So that's what I'm suggesting as director of the agency. I can sit in on the meeting with Dan and Jim and Phil, with Chuck. I'll reach out to the three of you once Phil gets back, I think, into